All right, we'd like to call the order the February 1st City of Cloverdale Planning Commission meeting at 6:33. Consistent with the provisions of AB 361, the members of the Planning Commission will participate in this February 1st meeting both in person and by teleconference. In-person participation by the public is permitted. Public attendees are asked to silence all pagers, telephones, and other communication devices upon entering the meeting. If you're making public comment, please make sure you speak clearly and state your full name before presenting. And those attending virtually and wishing to make comment, please use the raise hand icon on your smart device or desktop computer. You will be asked to raise your hand to announce your desire to comment, and you'll be unmuted to speak at that time. Or you may submit comments and questions via email to the city clerk at the email that's listed on the agenda. And also the information to attend this virtually is also included on that agenda. I wanted to start things off by the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would like to ask one of the commissioners to lead us in that Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair McCall, can you lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And can I ask the clerk for a roll call?
Chair Acey?
Here.
Vice Chair Shanahan?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart's? Present via teleconference. Commissioner Sanders? Is absent. Commissioner Waggy?
Here.
And alternate Commissioner Spengler will be absent tonight. Commissioner Hooverts, we're not able to hear you. No.
Still no audio.
Let me see if we've got audio here. No. She can hear us. She says
Transfer, I can get on the bottom of the screen, but
Your Forestville background is great, though.
yes, I'm going to bring you in and see if you can talk to us, if we can hear you. He's not listening at this point, maybe. I can't hear her, but you know what? She has to recuse herself from our main item, so. Well, we don't have anybody talking yet, so we can't press it.
Well, that was my next question, so we can start with that. Does any commissioner wish to declare any conflict of interest to today's agenda? By raise a hand, if you have it. Ms. Hovitz.
Since we can't hear, Commissioner Holberts is going to recuse herself based on the proximity of her residence to this project.
Next, does any person wishing to speak to the Planning Commission on any item not listed on the agenda may do so at this time? So we're asking the public, if you have anything you wish to address that's not listed on the agenda at this time, you may come forward and speak. Or virtually, do we have any hands? Jill, do we have any hands up there? And no one at this time. Moving on to the consent calendar. Does any commissioner wish to remove any item from the consent calendar and discuss this further as part of the regular agenda? Are there any comments from the public regarding the consent calendar? Any hands virtually? No? Okay. This is for items that are not on the agenda.
Can you hear me? Hello? I'm assuming you guys can hear me. So my name is Jade Weymouth.
I
I'm
can
the executive
read
director
her
here at La Familia
words.
Sana in Cloverdale. And I just,
We're not able to hear you. You're not getting audio in from Zoom. So
Okay.
something's plugged in and it's blocking the Zoom audio. It's official. Sorry, everybody.
We can read your words, Commissioner Hoverts, so we'll address the audio here, hopefully get this resolved real quickly. This side? No.
It's terrible.
Audio out. Can you right-click the settings for the audio out and pick what device it might be going out? So go to the caret right there, yeah. Pick the different, might be the smart technology Intel up above, or the Yeti stereo microphone. Still, you should have Commissioner Horvitz test it. Sandra, can you?
There you go. All right. Still coming through here, I think. Can you try again?
There you go.
Okay, Jay, go ahead.
Thanks, Chad.
can you guys hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Hi, sorry, my daughter's in the background. But I'm really excited. I just want to make a point as the executive director of La Familia Sana here, that we're really excited about the idea of a wellness center. But we want to remind the committee and Alexander Valley the importance of community input in the design. And I know that there's a proposed process about getting more voices into the design process. And we're just really excited that we can participate and include some more voices in what this wellness center would look like. So I just want to include that in the agenda.
Jay, there'll be an opportunity if you, when we discuss the item, if you want to provide further comment.
Yeah, we'll ask for comments about the agenda during the agenda item.
Feel free to respond again during that item. Not hearing any other comments from the public, is that correct? Are there any other items considering the consent calendar or any other conversation from the public? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the February 1st consent calendar?
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I ask the clerk for a vote on these items?
Vice Chair Shanahan?
Aye.
Commissioner Wadey?
Aye.
Commissioner Hooverts? Aye. And Chair Casey?
Aye.
I still do not see Sanders.
Okay.
Perfect. Coming to item 1 on the agenda.
Can you bring Matt up?
The Alexander Valley Wellness Center. This is a design review.
AC?
Go ahead.
Chair AC, I will be recusing
myself on the public hearing on number 1 due to proximity of the Alexander Valley Wellness Center to my home.
Thank you.
So do I log off or how does this work?
Yes, you can.
Yes, you'll log out.
I'm not sure how we can communicate with her after the fact to bring her back on, but we'll figure out a way to communicate with you to get you back on after the item is over. So moving on to agenda number 1, which is the Alexander Valley Wellness Center. It's a design review of the conditional use permit and development agreement to construct a 47,600 square foot, 3-story all-inclusive community wellness center and related site improvements. And let's open that item up for a discussion or
Thanks.
for the review of the,
Staff report.
who do we have here to?
Okay, well, I'll just
Present
give
that.
you, I'll give you a little rundown on what we're going to do here for this item. By the way, we did receive correspondence from Claudia Clow, which you got earlier, and then more recently, we got a correspondence from the Citrus Fair that we did email to you. Let us know if you have that or not. We emailed it about an hour ago. It came, so. So this is a
Kevin, I don't think your mic's on, by the way.
It's lit up. Hello? So we're going to do a kind of a 3-parter here. We're going to have Rafael walk us through what the project, the entitlements they're seeking, design review, and use permit. And then we're going to ask Debbie Howell to come up, who's the CEO of Alexander Valley, and give us a little rundown on the organization, and she has a PowerPoint. And then we're going to end up with Matt Stromberg, who's the architect for the project, and he's going to give us a rundown on the project, the site layout, and the design. We are asking for you to consider 2 resolutions tonight. This project will go on to the council because of the development agreement. Those have to be approved by the council. And the way our code is written is anytime the council has any say in the project, all the entitlements go to the council as well. So we have 2 resolutions, one recommending the CEQA document and the other one recommending design review, use permit, and development agreement for your consideration. So I'll turn it over to Rafael now.
Thank you, Kevin. As mentioned before you for discussion tonight is application for major design review and conditional use permit and a recommendation approval for a development agreement to construct the Alexander Valley Wellness Center at the corner of South Cloverdale Boulevard and Citrus Fair. The project is a 3-story wellness center, essentially a clinic, not necessarily a hospital. That's kind of one of the things I've first came into the project thinking that it was a full-on hospital, but it's really a clinic with daytime use only, hours of operation. So it's essentially closed at night, no overnight patients unless I guess it's absolutely necessary. But sorry, I was just double checking for the hours. 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday would be the proposed operation of the project. And the site is located in the TOD zoning district and similarly general plan designation. The TOD is the Transit Oriented Development District and general plan designation. And the site or the project would conform to the general plan zoning and also the stationary plan in that the project would provide a employment destination use, which would contribute directly to riders of the train whenever that gets here, within a half mile of the downtown, actually within a third of the mile of downtown, and within a half mile of the train. The project was routed to various departments, Public Works, Fire, and Engineering for comments. Their conditions after reviewing the project, have been wrapped up into the conditions of approval. The project was subject to CEQA environmental review, and a mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project, posted with the county clerk in December through January for public review, and no comments were received. But the mitigation monitoring report was also prepared for the project and has been included in the conditions of approval. The project is consistent with development regulations in terms of setbacks and height. The height is 44 feet. The TOD does talk about a 40-foot maximum height, but for things like hospitals, it actually has a allowance for up to 50 feet with projections for things necessary for the building equipment, like elevator shafts or things like that. So some of those elements project slightly above the 40 up to 44. The architect is here to talk about some of those more details if needed. But in general, the project meets all the development regulations, as I just mentioned, and staff would recommend that the Planning Commission adopt both the resolutions. The first one recommending approval of the CEQA document and the negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program. And the second to approve recommend approval to the City Council of the conditional use permit, design review, and development agreement. And staff is here to take any questions if you like, but I believe next we'll have Debbie Howe from this community, the Alexander Valley Wellness District, to talk a little bit more about the operation of the project.
Matt, I don't know if you can hear me, and if you could share a screen and bring Debbie's PowerPoint up, if you're able to do that.
And if you could state your name and who you are for the record.
Absolutely. Hi, my name is Debbie Howell, and I'm the CEO at Alexander Valley Healthcare. Happy to be here. I'll make this really quick so you guys aren't here late. So the whole vision for the health center is that we are building a center that is designed for community health and wellness in addition to our patient health and wellness. It will be an inclusive culture, connected, engagement, all of the things that bring us together as a community and as individuals and groups. We want to definitely bring in our community for their input and their feedback. We do have plans to do that. We want to build an environment that supports healthy behaviors and choices, and you'll see as Matt goes through his plans what some of those features are. We also want to make sure that we make services available to all citizens, no matter where they are in their life, and develop a system where they can thrive now and into the future. So we're cradle to grave primary care, and we're expanding our services to incorporate a whole bunch of other stuff. I just put a list of services and partners that we'll be working with on our space. The first floor is completely designed for access for public to access services that are available to everyone. It's not just our services. Our primary care services, dental, behavioral health, all of those services will be up on the second and third floor. So there's just a list there. You can read it. I'm happy to go through it. It's not cemented in stone yet. There's some things that have to be negotiated. There's more people that aren't even on this list that are interested in bringing services to Cloverdale. Go ahead, Matt. So one of the things that I just wanted to point out is, where do our patients come from? And Cloverdale, we report every year to the federal government. We're a federally qualified health center, so we definitely have regulations that we have to abide by, follow, and adhere to. And every year we send them a list of all of the zip codes that we have patients living in, and this is a list of the most frequent communities that they come from, Cloverdale being at the top. About 40% of our patients are from Cloverdale. The rest come from all over the place. Go ahead and go forward, Matt. Okay, so this is our patients and our visits, and I did a 2-year span because we've been living through a very chaotic year, so I couldn't really get good numbers for 2021 yet. Our reporting is still in process. So this just gives you an idea of what we do annually and on a 2-year basis, and what our makeup of insurance coverage is for our patients. We're very diverse. We serve all people, all incomes, all races, ages, everything. It's a huge equal opportunity healthcare provider is what I always call it. I'm not going to go through all the numbers. No one's interested in all this. And this is just a snapshot of our COVID vaccinations administered to the public. This does not count our patients. 14,058 shots were given between January and May 30th of this year to the community, and we did a couple of hundred after that in our parking lot. And our COVID testing is the same thing. Those are all community tests, not our patients. Go ahead and go to the next. So this is just a current snapshot. Right now we have 53 staff members. That's just our current budget and service revenue expenses. And these, the next slide is the projected new facility budget. We're actually projecting 80 staffing, so not up to the 100 that we had thought we would need, but about 80 to start off with, and over a 5-year period, we expect to go up to 100. And that is our budget that we've submitted to various funders right now, and a budget and a cash flow projection, debt load calculations that we've completed with Capital Link. This project's been very long, so we have to update that as well, but it's still pretty close. And I think, is that the last one? I don't remember. Okay, there we go, yeah. Yeah, any questions for me? Just an overview, high level.
Thanks, Debbie. We can, maybe, Matt, you can put up your presentation now, please.
Hi, my name is Matt Stromberg. I am the architect for Alexander Valley Healthcare. Our office is in Berkeley, California. We have been doing work with AVH since 2013, so it's our pleasure to be here and to see this project through in this community setting. I have roughly 20 slides. I'll go through them quickly. I'm happy to take questions at the end. I will begin with the project description. Debbie touched on it, but we have a new 3-story federally qualified and licensed community wellness center proposed for the site. The center will offer primary care, pediatric care, specialty care, behavioral health, dental services, wellness, educational programming, and administrative spaces. The project will include landscaping site work, on-site and off-site utility work, including a new above-grade transformer and a future backup generator, a trash enclosure, and the construction of a new on-grade parking lot. As was indicated earlier, the project is in the TOD, Transit-Oriented District, which visually represented here, our site, if you can see my mouse, is this site here, right at the corner of Cloverdale Boulevard and Citrus Fair Drive. In the TOD, the way the municipal code is written, what is allowable is 3 stories of construction all the way out to the outer limits of the property line. So in other words, there's 0 lot line setbacks on all sides of the property. The downtown core is similar, represented here in red. Technically, this is what would be allowable in the neighborhood. And the TOD allows for a community wellness center. We're not asking for any special dispensation under the code. This is a project that is imminently allowable under the TOD zoning. Other elements of the TOD are that the floor area ratio can be 3.0, which essentially means that you can stack the entire surface area of the site 3 times over on the site if a developer were interested in doing that. The height is limited to 40 feet except for hospital or wellness center type buildings to allow for mechanical equipment. And 1 parking space is required for every 250 square feet of building area. So what is allowed is represented in this diagram to my left. What we're proposing is this diagram to my right. The other thing we look at, in addition to what is allowable, is what is a good idea. And we did this study. Down here is Cloverdale Boulevard running from the southern edge of town all the way to the north edge of town. And then these are zoomed in versions of that southern section here and the northern section, including the downtown core here. And here is our site here right at the intersection of Cloverdale Boulevard and Citrus Fair Drive. This is what we call a figure ground study, and it's really just a way for us to look at the built context. And it's a really interesting study to see how development has aggregated over time. As I'm sure everyone is aware, this used to be the old highway. And so these buildings were all front loaded right up to the street. They have very little setback, if any at all. And it creates a very rich and vibrant walking experience and driving experience as you go through downtown. As development has moved to the southern portion of town, that idea, sort of got lost historically. And the way the TOD is written, in part, is to really try to embellish the downtown core again. And so we took that to heart, and we brought our building up to the street where we have an easily readily discernible entrance off the street, as well as a large parking lot in the back with an entrance off the back, which we'll be showing. The other thing we were interested in is just open space in general. Again, this is the downtown area, and here's our site here in this key plan. We want to continue this idea that it's a pedestrian-friendly downtown core. And while our site is just arguably on the southern edge of that downtown core, we were interested in this idea of continuation of outdoor spaces on our site. So that's sort of big picture. We'll start to hone in a little bit on the building. The Wellness Center seeks to provide a vibrant, inviting, and healthy place for patients, staff, and the community with a functional, high-performing, modern, and sustainably built, federally qualified healthcare building. State-of-the-art medical services and community educational and supportive services require a comfortable and secure facility with a strong connection to its local surroundings. The building is sited near the corner to be clearly visible from Cloverdale Boulevard and Citrus Fair, but set back enough to allow for these outdoor parklets and small contemplative gardens at the exterior of the facility. These green spaces are complemented by the green and yellow facade panels that I'll show you momentarily, that are designed to recall the seasonal colors of the Alexander Valley agricultural area. The building has entrances at both the street and the parking lot, as well as a ribbon of windows around the entire building to further enhance the user's connection to the outdoors. The articulated facade and offset massing of the form help the building integrate with the neighborhood while also providing users with clear and distinct wayfinding experiences at the building entry and within each floor of the building. Circulation routes inside the building are pushed to the building perimeter. Again, I'll show you that momentarily to maintain the user's connection to the outdoors. The interior will be naturally daylit and sustainably heated and cooled to achieve serene, comfortable, and inviting spaces throughout. This connection to the natural world while inside a modern medical facility is intentional. The building is conceived as one of the many tools that Alexander Valley Healthcare seeks to provide their patients, staff, and community in order to lead a more healthy and happy life. So what quickly are some of these elements that make for a more healthy and happy building and therefore happy and healthy life? Daylight is one of those components. And here's that ribbon of windows that I was describing that wraps all around multiple floors of the building. Natural air, there will be natural ventilation in the building. There's fitness, so we're encouraging walking. There will be walking loops in the building, which I can show. The comfort with the rejuvenating landscape around the building. There's views from the building in the direction of the coastal range and the Mayacamas to the east. The indoor-outdoor connection, the scale of the building, the curved walls, the post-occupancy evaluation, which we'll do in the future. And then, of course, bottle filling stations. There will be a demonstration kitchen in the building. And the building is meant to be serene once you walk inside. Here's a little bit about how we went about the design process for the building. We started with the program. So each one of these tiles represents a component of the healthcare center. So dental clinic or family healthcare or outdoor space. We rotated the building ever so slightly to start to arrive at some outdoor spaces along the street. And then we shifted or shuffled these tiles together to create this node or this joint that starts to have a bit of verticality to it. We start to chamfer away the program as we hone in on how much square footage is necessary. And then we push and pull the facade so that the building is sympathetic and scaled to different users along the street, whether you're driving by or walking by or entering the building from either side. And then at the very top, we chamfered the roof down so that the massing of the building reads as diminished from the street. So here's a representation of those ideas in a colored drawing. These are the cement board panels that I was describing that are inspired by that late fall color in the Alexander Valley. This is the parklet that is established at the corner by pulling the building away. So we have roughly a 60-foot setback here, which is equivalent to, if not larger than, the current outdoor park that's there now. And then this is a 5-foot wide sidewalk with an additional almost 20 feet of setback area here. So the building, while being set back from the street a little bit, still has, we think, a present and meets the street in a friendly and functional way. There will be an opportunity for site drop-offs here. And of course, when we look at the site plan in detail on the next slide, I can show you a little bit about how folks can enter the building from the rear. This is our landscape site plan. Again, Cloverdale Boulevard heading north up towards downtown, Citrus Fair here. This is the extent of our site. You can see again the way the building is pulled away for this parklet on the east side of the building. There's a small contemplative garden here on the west side, and another one here down on the southwest corner of the building. Folks, as they enter the site, can enter either from Cloverdale Boulevard or from the newly built, proposed to be built as part of this project, section of Washington Street, which will connect to this shared drive aisle with what we refer to as Lot A, formerly was under consideration as a police station site. and automobiles will enter the site, emergency vehicles will enter the site here and be able to make their loop and exit out using Washington Street and Cloverdale Boulevard. The project does not rely in any way on Scissors Fair Drive. So here is a more detailed diagram of the circulation. The red is the fire department access. Again, they would enter the site, come in and make their loop around the right-sized street widths or drive aisle widths and make their way around the site. There's a garbage enclosure here, deliveries here, and an emergency backup generator, all of which would be serviced and maintained from the public right-of-way. Here's a little diagram about the materials that are proposed for the exterior of the building. Down at the bottom of the building, the lower level is primarily this split-faced concrete masonry unit veneer. I think the closest example of this in Healdsburg is the fire department, the new relatively new fire station. You can imagine that texture and that look. This is would be similar to that in appearance. And then also on that level would be this channel glass here. And then the second floor are those concrete fiber reinforced cement panels in green and yellow, and the ribbon of windows. And then up on the third floor, the roof is a standing seam metal roof with a combination of corrugated metal siding and acrylic stucco. I spoke a little bit earlier about the idea of the views from the building as they look towards the Mayacamas and the coastal range. That's what this diagram is demonstrating, that part of the intent for connectedness and wellness should be maintained when you enter this building. You should feel calm and you should feel comfortable and you should feel connected to the outdoors the whole time you're in the building. And to that point, another way we achieve that is through natural daylight. So here are the first, second, and third floors of the building. And what this diagram intends to convey is with those windows all around the perimeter of the building, there's a large degree of penetration within the building of that natural daylight. So not only are you having these views out, but you're getting that natural light in, and it can be a very calming and comforting experience for folks inside the building, especially staff who have to get to spend their entire day in the building. These are floor plans. I won't go into them in great detail because they can get just a little bit difficult to read at this scale. But this is the first floor programmatically. There's discussions for various tenants on the first floor, as well as a specialty clinic and behavioral health. The second floor is primarily dedicated to family health. So there's 3 pods of family health, and then staff work and break areas, various conference rooms, waiting area, central atrium from below. And that leads up to the 3rd floor where there's a dental clinic and then administrative offices. And then these are the last slide that I have. These are just the overall building elevations. And with that, I'd be happy to turn it over to the planning director.
Great, thank you. Well, let's open up for discussion. Are there any commissioners who have any questions regarding the major design plan or comments?
was there a full-on CEQA done on this?
Yes, there was.
Okay, and then I'm curious because we just got this letter from the director of the Citrus Fair, like it's sort of,
10 minutes before.
yeah, 10 minutes before the meeting, and
You want to push the mic just so you can hear you?
10 minutes before the meeting, and then she seems to have some serious concerns. I'm wondering why, I don't know, why they weren't addressed, or why she didn't speak up sooner, I suppose, I don't know.
Well, we received the letter around 4:30, and we were here setting up, so I got it to you as quick as I could. I apologize for that. Probably could have got it to you a little bit sooner. There are some questions regarding the use of Washington Street as it relates to along the kind of the front side of the Citrus Fair and between the school. It's currently a private road. There are some questions whether a public road can connect to a private road. So we are, just so you know, David, the city manager, and I, and a couple council members have been meeting with the school and the Citrus Fair, and we're working towards getting all of those things worked out. We've had some really good meetings. The project as proposed right now does not complete Washington Street all the way to Citrus Fair. And if, Matt, I don't know if you could demonstrate, so that's where the road.
Right there's the delineation.
Where that dashed line is. That is where the road is proposed to end with this proposal. Now, obviously, we want to have the road go through. The Alexander Valley is proposing to put a sidewalk in to Citrus Fair, and we've been in discussions with the school about potentially putting a sidewalk on the other side. There are still some questions about the remaining section of Washington Street that we've been working on for over almost 2 years now. One of the thoughts was that we would, the Citrus Fair, the school district, or not the Citrus Fair, but the city, maybe Alexander Valley and the school are all going to work together to get that road completed. But as I said right now, the consideration for you tonight is only showing Washington Street going to that dotted line. I mean, again, clearly, we have been working very hard to come up with a solution to get it built all the way through. Part of that is working with the Citrus Fair for an easement to connect a private street, well, basically a public street to a private street. We have been talking to Allison, the director of the Citrus Fair, and we are continuing our discussions, and we are hopeful that we will be able to work something out, and I think we will. But what we're looking at right now is ending Washington where the dashed line is. I don't know if that answers your questions, Bill, but.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't pick that up in the materials. I'm kind of curious about the private street. Is Citrus Fair Drive a private street?
Correct.
How can you have a private street that's open to traffic constantly?
I'm not I'm not an engineer, but there are.
It happens.
They have to, there's stipulations where it has to be closed once a year in order to keep the private status. There are prescriptive easements, of course, which are, it's clearly used, and it has been used by the public for many years, but it is a private street. We've approached Citrus Fair about potentially making it a public street, so that's been discussed. We haven't come to any conclusion on that.
So does the Citrus Fair maintain those streets?
Yes.
And the school district?
The school, well, it's Citrus Fair property. So the Citrus Fair does maintain it, and David knows a lot more about this than I do.
Go ahead, David.
Good evening, Chair, SA, honorable members of the Planning Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to address you on this important project. Just a couple points of background that I'd like to share with the Commission. One is the city has been working very cooperatively and collaboratively with the Alexander Valley Healthcare and their team for just about 3 years now, if not longer, on designing a portion of Times Square to support the Wellness Center. And in that regard, the city council did approve a purchase and sale agreement for Lot B with the Wellness Center to acquire the property. We're in the process of closing escrow to enable the Wellness Center to finalize their acquisition of parcel B, which is what's represented before you today. During that planning process, we've worked very closely with the Citrus Fair. Myself, including council members, have met multiple times with the board of directors of the Citrus Fair and presented options or perspectives relative to both Citrus Fair Drive as well as Washington Street along the western side of the Citrus Fair, which both are private roads owned and fee titled by the Citrus Fair. When the council engaged in some early site planning work for the Times Square property, one of the key objectives was to address circulation around the Times Square property, which one of the key goals was to connect Washington Street through to Healdsburg Avenue so that you did have a through connection and supported good circulation along that road section, particularly to address some of the congestion that we all experience and see relative to Washington School. So, one of the goals there was to really address some of the community concerns around traffic and transportation circulation to Washington School, but also to address some of the impacts that the Citrus Fair experiences relative to traffic on both Citrus Fair and Washington, related to some of that school traffic. So we've long seen this as an opportunity to really improve circulation in the community. The design of Washington Street does reflect that with both on-street parking on both sides, bicycle lanes and sidewalks. So it was really designed as in a way to support safe movement of pedestrians and bicyclists to and from the school and along that corridor, and hopefully move folks off of the boulevard where there's that opportunity. So we're still in negotiations and discussions with Citrus Fair. We'd like to sit down with them as a city and talk about opportunities for working with them to obtain the necessary easements to provide for access. We do have existing easements in both Citrus Fair Drive and Washington Street for public utilities. It's about a 15-foot easement, roughly down the center line of the street in both sections. And those will likely be vital for connection for the Wellness Center. But ideally, we would obtain the full easement to both those street sections with the Citrus Fair Board of Directors' support. But we realize it's negotiations, and we want to work with them because, as they've identified in their letter, they feel or believe that there are some impacts related to the project, but some of those impacts are related to just the lack of circulation in the area that currently exists, and our goal is to really try to improve that. So some of that burden we feel is the city's role to try to step in and address that, and we're going to continue to work with the Citrus Fair Board to see if we can't come up with a solution that's amenable to both their interests as well as the city's, that can also facilitate future development of the Times Square property, and also address the need for enhanced pedestrian and safe movement of school kids to Washington School. So that's just a little bit of background. There's been a lot of time spent on this issue, and we didn't want to while we've been working to try to resolve that, we didn't want to hold up this project while we continue to work with the Citrus Fair Board on finding solutions. So just some background for your consideration. Happy to entertain any questions you might have just about our discussions on this matter.
There's a driveway entrance on the north end of the property that goes out to Citrus Fair Drive, but the architect said they weren't going to use Citrus Fair Drive. So I guess the obvious question is, why is there a driveway entrance there, especially if the garbage and the servicing for the generator are going to be located right there? I mean, it's kind of somebody, yeah, you can tell where the traffic is really gonna go. At least it would seem to me they're gonna go there. Right through the intersection, up Citrus Fair Drive and in that driveway, get the garbage and gone. Or deliver the oil or whatever the diesel. So I don't understand unless that contemplates that you are actually gonna get that full access to that road.
That's a great comment, Commissioner Waggy, and in response to that, and I think Matt, the architect, should weigh in as well, but first and foremost, the city is hopeful that we will be able to, again, negotiate an agreement with the Citrus Fair to obtain access to Citrus Fair Drive, via either a public easement or direct acquisition of Citrus Fair Drive. We think, again, that there's tremendous benefits in doing so. When we were working with the Wellness Center on the design of their project, we were mindful that for overall circulation from the site, that it would be ideal to have a driveway at that location, and that it in fact could be beneficial for the patrons at the Citrus Fair to have a direct connection and access to parking, should that be something that can be worked out through collaboration between the Citrus Fair and the Wellness Center. But maybe more importantly, the reason why that is identified is it is a critical need for emergency vehicle access by the Cloverdale Fire District, and that's why current proposals do identify that would be secured with a locked pole gate. Not the ideal situation to have a pole gate there, but that would address any access issues that may be present until such time that there's an opportunity for negotiating and collaborating with Citrus Fair on an access agreement. So I think it is a critical emergency access, and again, the city holds out the opportunity to be able to connect to, at some point, the Citrus Fair, because I think it does provide an important connection point for both ingress and egress to the project site. So that's kind of the background, but I know the project architect was working on this with the fire district, and he may have some additional points that you may want to address your question, Commissioner.
Yeah, it would just seem, pending the outcome of that those two services, the garbage and the generator, be moved to the south end of the lot off of Police Drive or whatever it's called. And also it would eliminate foot traffic conflicting with garbage trucks or fuel delivery trucks coming through the entire length of the width of the parking lot. I don't know.
Right, and I would suggest, that's definitely within your purview, design review, to address that. I just want to speak more to the access point there. I don't believe that would be an access point for garbage service and other service until such time that an access agreement or public easement is negotiated with Citrus Fair. Let me know. I'll be here in the audience if you'd like any more, have any further questions.
Great, thanks. Any other comments or questions from the commission?
I had the same comments on the garbage being where it was located and the need for trucks blowing through there. Depending when, I know that section of town is probably going to get hit on Friday, I think. And those trucks come through there later in the morning, that side of town. So you're going to have people in the parking lot.
Yeah, I just don't know where you'd put it. I mean, if you put it on the south side, you're interrupting the emergency access, which you don't want. You could put it on the west side, which is probably the best side, but then there's not really good space for that. And I do appreciate the road on Cloverdale, because I think that actually the interference is going to come from the fairgrounds to them in their parking lot. But that's just me personally. I think the fair has a poor parking area, and they tend to flow all through the city, so we'll see where that goes during their events.
Matthew, I had a question for Matthew on the garbage. Is that going to be built with an enclosure around it, cement block or anything around the garbage? Is it just going to be fenced in? What do we got with the garbage?
Was that a question for me? I'm
Yes.
sorry, the audio is a little bit difficult to follow the conversation. Was the question about an enclosure around the garbage?
Yes. Or
Okay.
fencing around garbage.
Yes, so yes, this would be a garbage enclosure that would be completely enclosed, including a roof over it and doors that would swing out and the dumpsters would roll out. There's a condition of approval in the planning package that states how that pad would have to be constructed with a curb, and it would be tightly sealed from the rest of the site and protected from raccoons and vermin. And I'd like to just quickly piggyback onto David's comment regarding the driveway here. Our understanding is that it actually is not necessary for fire apparatus or emergency vehicle access. Obviously, it would be great if we could use it, and this driveway curb cut is shown here in the interest that maybe one day we could arrive at an agreement where that would be possible. We also located this curb cut here as a gesture of goodwill towards Citrus Fair, because there were conversations about them using this parking lot during their events. And so the idea was that this curb cut would be eventually usable by both members of Citrus Fair, visitors to Citrus Fair, as well as any of these circulation needs that currently are not using it. So to David's point, there would be a pole gate here up and until that agreement were reached. If that agreement isn't reached, then we would presumably never need to or never actually connect to Citrus Fair Boulevard.
Okay. And I had a question on the rooftop apparatus, the air conditioners and things like that up on the roof. How high are they going to be? Because our elevations really don't show us too well.
Of your mechanics.
Yes. Thank you for the question. So yeah, the roof top, it tops out right at about 44 feet. And so the main roof of the building, I believe, is at 40 feet. But this main space in the center of the building, as well as the mechanical gear and the egress stairs are at 44 feet.
Okay.
Mr. Stromberg, have you guys, I can't see in your plans any plans to use purple pipe or recycled or reclaimed water to reach your property? So it's a reclaimed water system, a purple pipe system. Do you have any of that in your plans?
We could include that in our plans. We could work with our civil engineer on including that as part of our site plan. Just trying to scroll to it. It's not currently in our plans, but I should state that we're waiting for planning approval before we go deep diving into the engineering, and we could definitely account for purple pipe if that were an interest.
Another item is EV parking. I didn't see much of electric vehicle parking, and I know with the new mandates statewide that there's a good percentage that should be in parking, and I just wonder what your status is on that.
Yes. So there definitely will be EV parking, and this is the landscape architect's site plan, and so they're not showing it for whatever reason, but it is accounted for, and we're all very excited about that.
Yeah, it's on the Citrus Fair.
So that's good.
You're talking about generators. Are you guys looking at
funding and potential for municipal storage rather than a gas generator?
By municipal storage, could you elaborate?
I mean, are large funding
Opportunities for municipal-sized battery storage, especially for communities like Cloverdale, where we've actually been awarded one of the sites for testing for this, as well as for a healthcare center in a small city like Cloverdale in California. You should have good opportunities for federal and state funding for that.
Yes, so we are working with our mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineer on even considering ways to make the building 100% electric. If that were the case, having a battery backup system as opposed to a diesel generator would be a direction that we'd be very amenable to. We can work with our MEP engineer. I'm sure they're aware of some grants out there that we could investigate.
And lastly, for either Mr. Stromberg or Kevin, what are the potentials of grading and running utilities and prepping Washington Street, even though you may not connect all the way through, but at least doing the site work to get it set up in case that street were to go through, and potentially running the utilities at the cost of the development?
That's absolutely the plan. And
They blocked you.
as I mentioned, the project is going to bring the sidewalk that's on the east side up to Citrus Fair. We've been negotiating with the school about potentially a sidewalk on the west side. So we're getting really close to getting the entirety of the road done. We're not there, but we're certainly planning ahead for all the utilities in either case when it's, when the trenches are open. The school's needing a little bit more drainage that we're going to be helping out with, and that's part of the development agreement as well. So we've been looking at the infrastructure. Anything that's going underground will certainly get done. Hopefully the entirety of the road at the same time, because when everyone's out there working, it's going to be a lot easier and cheaper to do it then than to wait and come back.
So we're parceling off this project, and the part B is what was the potential police station. Do we have any expectation for that spot?
There's been some discussion of potentially affordable housing. I'm not sure if that's going anywhere, but that is a future council agenda item that we'll be discussing the fate of that lot fairly soon at the council.
And what about the potential for the first floor tenants? Have we decided how that could play a part for revenue for the city?
I might want to ask Debbie to come up and talk about, I don't know what the potential tenants are. I heard at one point a pharmacy potentially, but maybe Debbie can help us understand what the tenants might be.
Yeah, so we're looking and talking to pharmacy, laboratory services. Right now, if you are not our patient, you have to leave Cloverdale to get any lab work done, which is ridiculous. So that's the kind of services that we're going to be looking at bringing into the facility. Everything that we bring in will be connected with our core services in some way, so they fall underneath our scope of project for the federal government. Even though they may lease space and pay a portion of the rent or whatever it is, or they provide services for our uninsured patients in lieu of rent. So we have a lot of different ways that we're going to work around that. So quite a few different entities. Sonoma County Health and Human Services are interested in some space to bring up services that the county provides. And physical therapy that used to be in Cloverdale. That's a really huge need with our aging population, is another contract that I've been working on for a while. Kind of stopped working on those until about 6 months ago because it was just taking too long. I mean, this project's been going on for 3+ years with purchasing the property. So they're all there, they're all ready. As soon as I hit the go button, and we'll be negotiating. That's just a couple of different ones. I have a wound care that wants to put wound care in there for hyperbaric chambers. Pharmacy lab, I said that. Acupuncture, podiatry, I mean, lots of little service. And then the one thing that we didn't really mention earlier is urgent care center on the first floor as well. That's the other thing that we would really like to contract out with another bigger entity to come up and run, or we can run it through a teaching residency program that we're in the process of developing.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
I had a couple more. On the little thumbnail site plan at the kind of beginning of the drawing packet, there's on the west side of the proposed connection of, well, it was down at the bottom somewhere. Anyway, there's a Lot C, and it's to the west of Washington Street, and it's kind of in this gray area. Oops. You go back to that one, the landscape plan. It's across the street to the back there. You can sort of see a dotted line. Yeah. What is that, and is that part of the project, or is that something else?
Matt, I can take a stab at this. That will be a parcel owned by the city. So on the northeast corner where they have vegetation, that's still part of the city where we've given them a drainage easement. So that'll be like a park slash rainwater retention zone. On the other side of the road, there was a discussion, of course, of the skate park going there, but we're going to be bringing that to the city council for further discussion. So to answer your question, Lot C is, majority of Lot C is really Washington Street, and then we have these two sort of odd-shaped leftover pieces that will be retained by the city. That's, yeah.
And then there was I believe in the description it says, the zoning is requiring 190 parking spaces, and that it said that the plans had 168 with 12 more on-street parking in phase 2. I just wondered how that comes together.
So I probably should have explained the parking a little bit better in the staff report. The numbers, I just kind of took the numbers from the plan, and the applicant was straight up honest and just divided it straight out by 47,639. But that's the entire building, every square foot. But the parking count talks about excluding areas of the building that are just storage, that are like basement, attic area, elevator, things like that. So if the math was done to take those spaces out, the parking would meet the parking that's provided would meet that.
Thank you.
I did. Matthew, I had a question. We don't have any lighting or electrical plans for the parking lot. What size poles are you putting out there? Are you going ballards or?
Thank you for the question. There will be a lighting plan for the parking lot. It's probably really hard to read at this scale, and I can't zoom in on a PowerPoint, but there is a lighting plan. There is lighting planned for the parking lot on poles. It will be downcast, high efficacy lighting.
Corner Park is city property?
The triangle, yeah.
The triangle part?
That will be retained by the city, and we've granted them an easement for drainage.
Okay, because I was hoping to put some lighting in there for protection, security. But if it's not.
Well, that's a possibility.
Okay.
Matt, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
I didn't get the question.
Not placing lighting
Back west north corner of the property, that's the kind of a park location, yes.
Putting some sort of security lighting in there, ballards or low poles.
It's a very dark area.
It's a dark area, and there's a lot of kids that will be back there during, the fall and stuff, so.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I will make a note of it, and we can definitely coordinate that with our lighting engineers.
That's what I had.
Any other comments from the commissioners? none. Are there any public comments specifically regarding this agenda item and its plan review?
Matt, if you could please take down your presentation. We currently have no raised hands. On Zoom anyway.
If there's anyone from the public, please come forward. Please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Allison Caney, and I am the CEO of the Cloverdale Citrus Fair, and I appreciate you for reading our comments so short before your meeting. But there were a few things that we wanted to make sure we stressed this evening, and I appreciate the city manager coming forth and talking about discussions we've had so far. But our issues tonight, or our concerns tonight, are the inconsistencies with the staff report which you've received and with what has been presented with the plans. So we feel that those will be resolved, but we want to make sure that they're brought to your attention. In April, we will celebrate 130 years that the Citrus Fair has provided a venue for gatherings, events devoted to supporting agriculture, youth development, education, and cultural celebrations. We're a meeting location for service organizations, voting space for the community, and tens of thousands of dollars are raised every year on the property for local nonprofits. We also have emerged as the premier emergency site in the North County for evacuation services and emergencies, TEPs, shelters, and CPOD. The Cloverdale Citrus Fair is used 365 days a year. You might drive by, it might look quiet, it might not be obvious, but it is happening. The segment of the private grounds around the property are what give us concern. And I realize that that is not part inside of the healthcare facility, but the access to the facility and the access around the facility is of concern. The plans that we've been able to review and documents we've seen don't always refer to those streets as private. So it's no surprise that people are surprised that Citrus Fair Drive is actually private property. Tonight's recommendation for the approvals of the resolutions is based on the use of the Citrus Fair property, which has not yet been granted by the Citrus Fair Association. We have a little bit of concerns about the environmental review, which was mentioned with the dumpster area, the disposal of medical waste, and the safety impact of the driving traffic patterns. We've concerned about the operational impact on the fairgrounds, including the use on evenings and weekends. It's wonderful to have access to this beautiful new building for events on evenings and weekends, as mentioned in the staff report. It's wonderful to have a clinic, which undoubtedly will be open on evening and weekends, and that is going to have an impact on the fairgrounds property use. Currently, the driveway that we enjoy doesn't look very well utilized, but as the area around us changes, that driveway, that 0.7 acres, is going to become very, very critical for the way we operate. We have concerns about the financial impact to our assets and the encroachment. If the project moves forward as presented with the access as we've seen, we are concerned that it'll negatively affect our property value. The Citrus Fair, Washington Middle School, and Alexander Valley Healthcare are poised right now to create a wonderful triangle of community support that will have the greatest impact, but only when each of us as an organization can perform to our full capability. The staff report approval tonight outlines project elements that we feel negatively impact, which you've seen, and in light of our concerns and the two presented resolutions, we are not sure that they should move forward. We welcome meeting with the city, Alexander Valley Healthcare, and the school district in an open and collaborative way to find solutions together, but we are also in need of protecting our interests because they directly affect our ability to serve the community. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Sherry Ann Tipler. I am been here around 20 years now. I am actually part of the Citrus Fair. My question is there another property that could have been considered for this? Instead of, for me as a community member, I don't want to get off the freeway and see this. I'm sorry. I would find it an eyesore. And also, our community is about family, friends. I love the idea, as a holistic healer myself, of having this health clinic. But I think it could be somewhere else besides the focal point coming into our little town and seeing this big building as your first entrance to say, hello, here we are, versus something else, a park or something there. You have the old mill site, that you would have none of these impacts with the school or the citrus fair. As a parent with this, I would actually pull my kids out of school. I don't find this a safe location for the kids. If you spend any time or if you have kids at the school and you see what it looks like, this is not safe. And that's one of my biggest concerns. My kids did go to school there. And I'd really like to know why there was not a consideration of some other property besides this one. So, thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public or any comments online?
Good evening. My name is James Berry. I'm a local resident. I'm within a couple blocks of the proposed build site. I'm also a local business owner and a father of 3 children. And I definitely feel that the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish here should be at the center. And obviously, I feel like Alexander Valley Health, which I forgot to mention, I am also on the board of Alexander Valley Health. I feel like Alexander Valley Health, the board, architect have all taken in consideration, along with consideration of a lot of the local organizations, including the Citrus Fair, the city. I think everyone is kind of working collaboratively to bring together an amazing project that will ultimately benefit our kids for many, many years. And ultimately, although it might be not the perfect visual place, it's a beautiful building by design. And we also have to consider the access for many, many residents that can't certainly go outside of the city to seek services. And they have to be landlocked here, and that includes seniors, folks that are located near the building and so on, or the proposed building. And I really, really am hopeful that we'll be able to come to a resolution and find something everyone will be proud of. We'll find a meaningful and very centric health center that will ultimately benefit everyone in the long run. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are there any other public comment? Bringing it back to the commission, and are there any other questions regarding the entirety of the plan? Or any other discussion points?
I have none.
Chair, we did provide a topic sheet if you want to go through that, or if you feel like we have already with Matt's help, that's an option. I could also, I'm not sure if we're wanting to amend some conditions of approval based on what I've heard tonight, but I'm happy to read back what I heard and we can see if we want to amend a condition or two to reflect some of the comments. Let me know if you want to proceed with that.
I think we can go down through this. I think you've placed, and I don't know if we go through each item and you can mention what's already out there and see if there's any additional items to that. But if you look at the site plan, there might have already been some comments or recommendations on the site plan.
I think the one comment I heard was potential lighting in that corner on the city-owned side. I did hear discussion of the garbage location. I don't, maybe Matt could let us know if there's another location that is possible for the garbage, or if there's some reason, if that's, if you're feeling strong about that particular item. And then the purple pipe, we could add a condition. We could be strong with it to have them, install it now, or we could do as we've done in some cases, allow the chase that could be installed later, or some degree in between there. But the strong one would be to have them install it as when the trenches are open, or we can allow for room in chases, and maybe Matt has some ideas on that too.
As it's city-owned property, I'd recommend we do it as it's open.
We can add a condition, as we have on other projects, that the project install purple pipe. There's really probably not a lot of, those landscaping areas that are kind of concentrated that would be, and when it's open, it might be pretty easy at not great expense. Matt, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Not specifically. We could consult with our contractor and see, what the implications are. And as it relates to relocating the trash enclosure, there aren't that many spots on the site that are close to the building, so functionally, usable, that are also, close enough to the access roads. By access roads, I do not mean Citrus Fair Drive. I mean our internal driveways. We could and have looked at alternate locations, and this is the location we arrived at. We could consider going back out towards Washington Street. That just makes for a longer transport for the janitorial staff to take garbage out there. We also, we'll have a hose bib no matter where it's located, but that would require a hose bib out at that location as well.
What about the south entrance off of Police Drive, or whatever they call that one?
We've looked at that, and you might recall from the landscape drawing, that's where one of our parklet outdoor contemplative garden settings is. I think if the trash enclosure were to be there, that would come at the expense of landscaped area.
Are there any questions or recommendations or discussion regarding the landscaping?
No, good, right? Nice. Looks good.
We talked about the lighting, specifically the northwest corner.
Right, and we also have our standard condition that the lighting is dark sky compliant. So I don't know if Matt has a detail on the lighting fixtures for the parking lot yet, but if that's going to be a kind of a deferred submittal, they will have to be the dark sky. I don't know why I can't say that. You know what I mean? Dark sky compliant, yes.
Yeah, just to quickly comment on that, we definitely appreciate the comment about lighting out at that drainage easement area at the north west corner. And we will make a recommendation to our engineer to include that. And all exterior lighting, both in the parking lot and on the face of the building, will be night sky or downcast lighting.
Perfect.
Is the paving permeable, or is it not permeable in the parking lot?
That's a good question. Thank you for that. At the moment, it is not. We do have in the design, the landscape architect has proposed alternate paving materials where there's a walking surface. The storm drainage calculations are such that with all of the green spaces and drainage catchment areas, permeable paving is not required to make the site work as a drain site for the stormwater. So at the moment, no, we do not have permeable pavement in the parking lot. But it is being directed to these filtration sites where it is collected on site.
Are there any other recommendations regarding the materials or colors? How about the mechanical equipment and the screening of that equipment?
Yeah, I thought we might see a glimmer of it on a sunny day. But I don't think we have to put fencing up there. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and you're up top too on the roof part, which leads to the next item, which is roofing. Any other concerns with the roofing?
Is there going to be solar?
Great question. What are your PV capabilities? Are you planning on putting any solar on the building?
Was the question, are we putting solar on the building?
Yeah.
Yes, there will be solar both on the roof of the building. It's being designed as a solar-ready roof. We would install that at the end of the project. There's also conversations about converting areas of the parking lot to have solar shade carport devices that I'm sure you've seen all around the county that would also be solar panels.
I wonder about the economics of that, if that certainly would add a bit to the construction cost. Is that within the budget, or is that something that would need to go out for an additional grant, or how would, you know, what?
I'm not sure how that.
I can do that. We're actually working with emergency preparedness group on a grant for solar panels out in the parking lot. And he's also one of our signed-on partners for storing some of their equipment for emergency readiness, things that they need. And he has another whole plan for this whole generator thing that I know nothing about, and have connected him and Matt together, because I don't know what he's talking about there, but he's working with us quite diligently. Thank you.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. If a large-scale solar was proposed for the parking lot later, depending on how big it was, it could be another design review by the Planning Commission.
But highly recommended. Any other recommendations on the architectural design or the parking and circulation?
I had, for Matthew, I have a question on the front entrance where you just have that circular drive. Is that just going to be a drop off and go, or are they going to be allowed to park there?
Thank you. No, it's intended just as a drop off and go. Even in the event that if someone was dropping off a patient, the patient could enter the building that way, and then the driver could go around and park in the parking lot if they were meant to go in and accompany that patient. But no, there's no parking. All of the accessible parking is on the backside of the building, close to the building. It's really just a drop and go. You know, there's a scenario perhaps where a taxi or a Uber driver would drop a patient at that location.
What I'm envisioning is, okay, you have a ground floor pharmacy, somebody's gonna park there, run in to get whatever they got, it's gonna be there, parked in the front. You know, are you gonna be signage, no parking, or are you gonna be striping it, no parking? You know, okay. Okay, because that was my concern there. And also with a lot of kids using that frontage there every day, as well as everybody else. Anytime I go past there, there's tons of people walking. And I was a little concerned with that entrance there. But if it's just going to be, you know, go in and out, I don't think you guys any other issue with that.
No.
Yeah.
No one can hear you out in the world there, Debbie, unless you want. Yeah.
It's primarily intended for like the elderly population that can't really walk far in the parking lot and they get dropped off. We also intend to have security on the first floor and walk in the facility. You know, it's a big investment. We want our patients and our staff to feel safe. So that's another part that we'll be implementing is a day security and the alarm system at night. So.
Thank you.
And I believe, David, you mentioned that they're planning on going into the easement on the street of Citrus Fair to potentially tap into the utilities. Does that mean that this project could potentially replace Citrus Fair Drive as they make those repairs? So there could be an improvement to that road, which is a private road that they don't have to pay for?
I believe, Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the utilities required along Citrus Fair to serve this project is a storm drain, which is going to be in an existing easement, which I don't know if it actually goes into the Citrus Fair Drive itself, or I believe it's on the Alexander Valley property. So I don't think that this project needs to dig into Citrus Fair. Is that correct?
Correct. There is a storm drain proposed parallel to Citrus Fair Drive, but it is not on Citrus Fair property. It is at the northern edge of the site in question, the Alexander Valley site. And that runs in the direction from the west to the east out towards the intersection of Cloverdale Boulevard and Citrus Fair Drive, but it does not cross into Citrus Fair property.
Any other recommendations from the commission or comments regarding this plan? My only comments would be that it's a great use of the right for the TOD property. I like this one a lot better than the last TOD properties spot. It helps us get off of our island by bringing more services and resources to our city. And there's potential to service Citrus Fair further, but I do recommend that we highly put some kind of barrier on that road between the center and between Citrus Fair Drive until Citrus Fair can come to some kind of agreement or they see the need of using that parking lot, which I think they will soon see that there's not as much of an impact as much as the need to partner. With that said, I'll turn it back to the public. Are there any additional public comments regarding this overall project or this item? Any comments from the virtual public? Hearing none, can I get a motion regarding this item? Two motions, you're right.
I'd like to make a motion for resolution number XYZ 2022. Resolution of the Planning Commission. No, that's the wrong one. A resolution of the City of Cloverdale Planning Commission recommending to the council adoption of mitigated negative declaration and mitigated monitoring and reporting program for a conditional use permit, design review, and development agreement to construct a 47,639 square foot, 3-story, all-inclusive community wellness center on the 2.8 acres project site located in a corner of South Cloverdale Boulevard and Hillsburg Avenue, APN 001-440-049.
Can I get a second?
Yes.
Second from Commissioner. Vote from the clerk?
Vice Chair Shanahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Whiting?
Yes.
Chair Racy?
Yes. And that's for this item. Moving on to the next item, we have the planner's report, or did we do the second item as well? Sorry, the second resolution.
Yeah.
Which is like, can I get a motion on the second resolution regarding this item?
Which attachment is it?
Attachment 2. I'm just giving this.
I'll make the motion.
Yep.
I offer the motion, the City of Cloverdale Planning Commission Resolution Number XYZ 2022, a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of Cloverdale recommending to the City Council of the City of Cloverdale approval of a major design review and conditional use permit and adoption of an ordinance approving a development agreement to construct a 47,639 square foot, 3-story, all-inclusive community wellness center, the Alexander Valley Wellness Center, on the 2.8 acre project site located at the corner of South Cloverdale Boulevard and Healdsburg Avenue, APN 001-440-049.
Can I get a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Can I get a
Maggie?
vote from the commission?
Aye.
Vice Chair Shanahan?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thanks, Matt.
Long time.
Thanks, Matt.
Yes, thank you, Matthew.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item is the planner's report and communications, and I'll turn it over to Kevin and Rafa for that report.
Thank you, Chair. Our next meeting is March 1st. We are likely to have a meeting. We are trying to schedule a joint council planning commission meeting to discuss progress on the housing element. That may not happen. The city council is really busy. We may just make that just a planning commission meeting, but the next will likely be March 1st, and it will be an update on the housing element. I'll be meeting with the mayor tomorrow to start recruitment for the alternate spot that Madeline Wallace vacated. And let's see here. I've heard from some of you guys about the training. I've heard from, we should have invited Sandra back.
Oh, yes, sorry. Well, I was supposed to text her, by the way.
I'll just wait a sec.
Apologies.
I'll let her know what I already said. I'll send her an email. Can you hear us, Sandra?
Yes.
Okay. I was just going through the planning director's report. I was just going to mention that on March 1st, we're going to likely have a planning commission meeting to discuss progress on the housing element. That may turn out to be a joint meeting with the council on a different day or that day. We're still trying to work that out, but more than likely it'll be just a planning commission meeting on the 1st. And then I'm meeting with the mayor to discuss our vacant alternate position. So we'll be doing a recruitment starting hopefully this week or early next week. So if anyone knows anyone, let us know. Also, I did hear from a few of you about the League of Cities training. Commissioner Holverts and Splinger do want to attend. Commissioner Waggy, you mentioned if it was virtual, you might be interested. I don't know if they're going to change that. So if you are interested, let me know, because I'm going to have to do a budget amendment to get everyone to go. So far we have 2. And it would require a 2-day stay in San Ramon, because as it's scheduled right now, it is on site in San Ramon. So, Rafael, do you have anything else, or? Yeah, I think that's it. We're kind of cleared the deck of development projects. There's not a lot going on in terms of new applications. So we're going to focus on getting the housing element done. Thanks for all your help on the downtown zoning and the TOD zoning that did go to council and get approved. So I do appreciate all your help on that.
I'll just add, also, on top of the housing element update, we have our annual, as you may remember, every year we do the general plan annual report and the housing element annual report. It might sound confusing that there's an APR for the general plan and housing element, but then we're also working on a housing element update. So the housing element update is just an update to that whole element, but every year we have to report to the state progress that we've made on all elements in the general plan, including the housing element. So the meeting that Kevin mentioned, that'll just be an update on the status of our housing element update. We will definitely be having a meeting in March to present the APRs, which are the annual progress reports for the general plan and housing element. I have to turn those in. We have to submit those to the state by April 1st. So the meeting will entail both of those. So I hope that's not confusing.
That's the end of our report.
Perfect. Turning over to the commissioners' announcements. Does any commissioner have any direction to the staff or items to announce to the public?
I just have a question. Our new code enforcement officer, when will he be starting? Or
I apologize for not giving an update. He's already been up here a few times.
Okay.
His name is Robert Smith. He is an attorney, and he was an attorney for the city of Sonoma, and he does code enforcement for Windsor, Cotati, and now Cloverdale. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. He knows what he's doing. One of the first steps he is doing is he's going to propose amendments to our code that's going to make his job more effective. And those are currently being reviewed by our city attorney. I don't believe we'll have to take those to the Planning Commission. They don't reside in the planning zoning section of the code, so that would just go straight to council. So the parallel track is he's going to amend our code to become more effective, and then we've already given him some of our chronic cases that he's gone out, looked at. He's already sending letters to certain property owners. So we're very happy about that.
And then I had a question on the no skateboarding signs and bicycle signing on the sidewalks around town that are pretty much gone. Are we going to do we have any grant money or anything we can pull on that with the stimulus money to get those repainted?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure how we did that in the past, if we need grant money or if it's how big of a scope of work that is, but I will report back at the next meeting.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I'm bringing it up is we now have dirt bikes terrorizing the sidewalks, which I'm sure you guys have heard about. So, yes. Yeah, they're every afternoon now. So, and as a business owner, it's kind of scary when you have old people walking out of your door and a guy goes flying by on a sidewalk at 45 miles an hour. So, yeah.
Commissioner Hoverts, you had a comment?
Yes, I have a question on the housing
Element. When we're going back to review that, are we going to discuss the arena numbers?
Absolutely. It's a
big,
okay.
Yeah.
So on the reading numbers, when reading numbers are presented to us,
Can we get a recap of what actually is going on, like the ones that have been permitted and the ones that already have been approved by the city council? That way we could have a really good perspective of what's going on. You have the ones that we already received a permit, and then on the other side are the ones that went through city council, but the permit hasn't gone through yet.
Yeah,
We'll give an update on what's approved, the status of the projects, and how that relates to the arena, certainly.
Thank you.
Any other direction from the commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I will call this meeting to adjourn at 8:18, and we will adjourn this meeting to our next regular meeting scheduled for March 1st, Tuesday at 6:30 PM. Thank you.